Brandon, I'm going to start with you, buddy. Who deserves more credit for the win last night? I can't even believe I'm asking this, but Russ or his defense?
Look, I would love to say Russ because he protected the ball, but it's the defense. Wild's been talking about it all year. When you're playing that bad, historically bad, and then you hold this dynamic offense to 107 yards and 7 points in the first half, it has to go to the defense. Look, if I have a theme for that game last night, it would be they started fast and they finished strong. That's exactly what they did. The first half, that defense was lights out. And then in the second half, that defensive line stood up, pressing Russell Wilson, hitting him, sacking him, making things I said Russell Wilson, I'm sorry. Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray didn't know what the heck to do in the second half. And that defensive line and Carlos Dunlap showed you why they brought him in and why they needed him. So, Nick, I have to go with that defense. They played really well last night, and they're trending in the right direction.
It's absolutely right. And one of the reasons I'm so excited for today is I think in every single segment of the show, I'm going to say something that shocks Brandon Marshall. Here's the first one.
Oh, my goodness.
That right there, that team that we saw last night, that specific version of the Seahawks, they are the favorites in the NFC. With that level of defense, with Russ playing a clean game but still making the right plays, with Dunlap's played 2 games for them. He has 3.5 sacks. And if you didn't watch the game and you see, okay, Seattle has 28 points, that's 4 touchdowns. No, they got 2 of those points via safety on the biggest sequence of the night. It's a 2-point game, Wilds, and Dixon, their great punter, pins the Cardinals kind of deep. They force a intentional grounding penalty on Kyler to really back him up, and then an immediate pass rush that immediately beats the right guard, all of a sudden holding in the end zone safety. Now it's a 4-point game, you're getting the ball back. So I thought the story was the defense. The defense doesn't have to be great. Allowing 23 to the Rams, 21 to the Cardinals is not great. It just has to be fine. And last night, the defense was more than fine. To me, it won them the NFC West yesterday when you look at their schedule, and it made them, once again, the favorites in the NFC West.
Yeah, I buy that. Brandon, you know that I am the CEO of Seattle is a pretend team. Seattle's defense is terrible. It will be the whole
You've been on it
that
all
sinks
season.
the USS Seattle Seahawks, but I hate to say it, you were right. You said they should step up. They had a total of 347 yards. You called up Bobby Wagner. He had a ton of tackles. And Dunlap not only had 2 sacks, he also had the sack to win the game. And by the way, just before I give Seattle all the credit, can you just throw the ball down the field to DeAndre Hopkins? Just like maybe I'm the only one that remembers the last game. I would just drop back and throw 4 Hail Marys. And I know I'm not the offensive coordinator, and I know Kyle Shanahan is so much smarter than me. But I think every time you did not target DeAndre Hopkins as the game was going down, Seattle let out a collective breath. I think sometimes football's a very complicated game, Brandon. But then you and Mike Vick told me, no, Wilds, it's simple. And I was like, yeah, that's right. I know what I'm talking about.
If you played wide receiver, if you played football, you would be a wide receiver, and we would consider you a diva. You sound just like a diva wide receiver. Give me the ball. Throw it to me. Me.
Super
Get out of here, Wilds.
Well, what is true, just quickly, Jenna, before we move on, absolutely. Before we move on to Wilds' point, they had plenty of time, and on 2nd and 10 to throw into the end zone, not to DeAndre. 3rd and 10 to throw into the end zone, not to DeAndre. I agree with Wilds' point. Maybe not 4 Hail Marys, but I do think Seattle was thrilled that it wasn't maybe an intermediate route to DeAndre with the option for Kyler Murray to run the football, because I think a lot of America was watching that saying, Kyler Murray with plenty of time and 4 downs to play with every sequence, this thing's going to overtime. So I agree with Wilds' general point there, Jim.
Just throw it up.
All right,
Just
so
throw it up.
that's
Throw it up.
Kyler's side of it. Let's focus on Russell Wilson for a second. Finished with less than 200 yards. He did have a pretty efficient night, though. He was 23 of 28, 2 touchdowns. Most importantly, though, no turnovers. How do you not love Russ? How do you not look at that guy, listen to him, and say, I love that. That guy's fantastic. Nick, let's go with what Brandon just said. Did last night's performance sort of refuel his MVP push?
All right, Brandon, I've got another shocking announcement to make here.
Let's hear it.
For the first time in Russell Wilson's career, after that performance last night, he is going to finish second in the MVP voting, and that's an honor. You know what? They don't give you a trophy for it, but that is an honor. Kyler Murray is dispatched. You don't have to worry about him anymore. Russ has jumped above Aaron Rodgers, and he has that silver medal. He can almost grasp that MVP silver medal for the first time in his career, Brandon, and I'm very happy for him about it. I'm happy for him. He deserves it. He absolutely deserves it.
There's still a lot of football left, Jenna. I don't think, it was a big enough game. He had 197 yards, 2 touchdowns. He protected the ball. He did what he was supposed to do to get his team to victory win, Wilds. But when you look at this, man, Russell Wilson went back to business with everything he did. That's a home game, folks, and Russell Wilson is wearing a suit. You don't have to wear a suit to home games. So that tells you a little bit about his approach to this game and getting back on track and handling the basics. And then when you look at him in the pocket last night, he was almost mechanical. He just went back. He didn't fall under pressure. He was super poised, and he just went through his offense. He didn't press. And I think what stood out the most to me was his greatness, because a lot of players, when they're playing this bad, turning the ball over, losing games, they start pressing more, they start even playing worse, and Russell Wilson didn't do that. He was able to collect himself, put back on the suit, and get back to business as usual, Wilds.
Yeah, you know what I always say, Brandon? Ball security is a very important part of winning football. Doesn't roll off the tongue as well as your stuff,
That's right.
But it's still important. Hey, 30 pass touchdowns, 110 passer rating. Look at these guys. Guess what? All MVPs. Russ is right there. I still think it's Big Ben's to win because, he hasn't lost a game. Patrick Mahomes with the silver medal and Russ with the bronze, but he's got a chance to move up, Jenna.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.